Man, what's going, guys? It's your girl Kai, and I'm back again. I'm back again for episode number 4. Episode number 4. 4. Listen, I was chilling in bed, and I was like, no, seriously, I need to go record because I got something on my heart, and this is what I wanted the podcast to be, like a personal diary, but like a public community diary, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of the times you guys are going to be asking me questions, and a lot of times I'm just going to be sharing shit because that's a part of this. You know what I mean? A part of it is transparency and just showing all the randomness and everythingness of life, all how we're all together right now in the world. That's how I basically wanted Shameless App to be. You know what I mean? And the Shamelessly Speaking to be just a collective of different shit, because we all go through different shit. And I want to talk about some shit, okay? Openly. Transparency. And I want to talk about me, self, and I am. And the reason why is because even right now, doing this podcast, this is seriously still a part of my spiritual journey, my actual life journey. You know what I mean? And I feel like this has been building up for some years now, like I said before, and another episode, I think it was like episode 2 or something. You could go back and listen to it if you want to. But this has been a long time coming. And anybody that knows me knows that I got the gift to give, honey. Yes, I do. I could talk to anybody in their mama. Okay? I talk to you about whatever the fuck. You know what I mean? You wanna talk about some crazy shit, I'ma go there with you. You know what I mean? I'm very much just like that. And so I also have been through a lot of bullshit. Like people from my past that I'm still very close, tight knit with to this day. Like y'all know, Kyla has transformed, baby. Like I have totally made a whole different transformation from how I used to be back in the day. Seriously. And that's what got me thinking, I want to say sometime last year, about that transformation. Because remember how I was talking about last episode about how a lot of the times we're always searching for that bigger and better thing and not even realizing that we're actually in it. That's something that I realized last year. And I don't want to say that I didn't notice it before, but I did notice it in a different way that made me surrender any other kind of bullshit I might have been holding on to from the past. Do you understand what I mean? Like I had been learning the same lessons over and over and over again, disguised as different shit over and over and over again, and I wasn't learning the lesson over and over and over again until it just finally I let go. Like I let go of that control. And it's been like that for several years now. Like, it's constantly surrendering and letting go of certain things that just no longer serve me, and that helped me realize that I do have a lot of fucking power. I real life do, and everybody does. Everyone does. I've always been a person that I felt like I always needed to solve my own problems, but I wanted people to agree that my ideas were cool. That was like, I didn't need you to help me come up with solutions. If I was feeling some kind of way, I was always going to solve something myself. But I wanted, not like a yes man or a yes person, but I wanted reassurance that in a roundabout way, if it didn't go through, you know what I'm saying, be there to let me know I'm gonna be alright. You know what I mean? Like that was what I was really doing. But a lot of it was covered up in a lot of bullshit. So I'm just gonna be open and honest with y'all motherfuckers, and we gonna talk about this shit, okay? So we gonna talk about me first. Basically, that's all that shit of like projecting low self-esteem, insecurity, wallowing in bullshit, replaying stuff over and over in your head, being mad about shit that has been stuck in your mental for years and years at a time, and nothing has ever even fed that emotion anymore, but except you and your constant awareness of it and constantly reliving it. My bad if y'all can hear a helicopter and the mic, because I'm sitting in the car recording because the house is loud. Okay, y'all know how I am. Stop it. Y'all know I be escaping to find quiet places so I could breathe. Okay, so just ignore the helicopter that's the yapper that's, you know what I'm saying, that's flying overhead or whatever. It'll be gone in a minute. But yeah, all that insecurity shit, all that projecting shit, all that just woe is me and oh pity me shit. And I can honestly say that a lot of people that used to know me back in the day probably still see that me, because hello, I got the same fucking face. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm the same person. But I could honestly say I have done so much fucking transformation from that. Even family members know. You know what I'm saying? Even my own husband knows. My kids know. Shit, I know. You know what I mean? And I want to talk about it because I know a lot of my friends are going through a lot of that in different stages. We all are, honestly. Even family members, okay? I still have family members that are still going through that shit to this day, and that are, you know what I'm saying, older than, you know, us, my generation, you know what I mean, being 30, you know? And it's a serious thing. So some of the things that it kind of looks like is like back in the day, I used to get into a lot of arguments and fights and petty shit. No doubt it was definitely bullying for its age. Like I would get bullied for, you know, colorism types of issues, like, oh, you know, you little light skin, little this and that, you know what I'm saying? And then I would take on that role, that identity of basically those traits of what, you know, people would say are light skin traits, you know what I'm saying, or mixed girl traits. You know, it's that attitude, it's the mugging, it's the RBS, it's the this, it's the that. And really a lot of it was just them projecting their shit onto me, because people that really knew me knew that I was a goofy ass motherfucker. I still been the same goofy ass motherfucker to this day. Okay, same little shit talker, but just goofy and just, you know what I'm saying, ain't afraid to act a hot ass meth in the name of some fucking fun, you know. And but I could honestly say that I took on that persona, one, because back then we're hella young and we think that shit is cute. Okay, let's just be clear, because it's a wave, all right? It's a fucking trend, all right? And people make it popular, and then boys, oh, well, I like light skin, like it literally. So I took on personal traits that weren't even my own to begin with. But because when you're young like that, and though I may look this way, and to you I may act this way, and sometimes maybe I am acting that way, but you don't know the reason behind it. So it once again, to you it looks like I'm acting a certain way, you know, does not mean that I was that way, and does not mean that I was ready for that responsibility of taking on that shit. And not having people that were openly talking about it around me made me feel like the only way that I could deal with this shit is to basically act a part, so you leave me the fuck alone, period. And I feel like that's where a lot of my attitude, facial shit came from, because an intimidation type of factor, no doubt, because I probably am an intimidating bitch to most. I get it all the time. It's just my face and my energy, I guess. I don't fucking know. It's just I have a very, very, very high bullshit radar. You know what I mean? And I just don't like it because I don't have time. I'll talk shit, I'll shoot the shit, but don't bullshit me. You know? And so I do keep that same energy and that wall up, because in a way it is a mask to let you know, like, real talk, don't fuck with me, because I really can't go there, you know, but I don't want to. And a lot of the time, people that don't take the time to really get to know me, they only see that, and eventually that scares them off, and good fucking riddance, because that lets me know that if you couldn't get past my outer exterior, then motherfucker, you a fleet in the hot second. The moment that some shit starts getting heated, you gone. So you can't stand your own ground anyway. So to me, it's no love lost. It's like, all right, I understand, get going, you know. But being young, I didn't understand that shit. So when people were telling me who I was, basically, before I was even aware I was doing any of these things, like, no one told me for the longest time. I always knew I had a lazy eye, you know what I'm saying? It's from the family, but I always knew I had a lazy eye. But no one told me when I'm off in La La Land daydreaming and shit that my face be looking like it's mugging, you know. No one really told me except, you know, my friends from time to time, but they were used to my face, you know. They were used to my face, but people outside of my circle just automatically thought I had problems, you know what I'm saying? Like, just took it there. So it became very, very toxic for me, even getting to and from school, you know. And so naturally, I started to internalize all of that, all of everything that people were saying to me over and over in my head, all the insults guys would say to me if I didn't want to stop and talk to them because they thought I was older than what I was because of my body type or whatever it was. Like, I'm just trying to get home, go watch Rocket Power. You know what I'm saying? And I had to take hella light rails and walk hella blocks just to get here, and I need to get the fuck to the house. Okay? Like, I don't give a shit about your dusty, rusty ass digits. Okay? And then now I'm being called a bitch and a hoe and a this and a that, and oh, you woo woo. Like, all just to get home, my nigga. Like, oh my God, who hurt you? You know? And so imagine dealing with all of that shit, and then dealing with home shit, and then dealing with your own emotions and your own hormones and different things like that. I'm not saying I had it horrible, you feel me? I'm just talking about my personal experience, and it just apply yourself where you see fit, okay? Like, whatever the fuck kind of bullshit you went through at a young age that made you feel attacked, and then you internalized as your own self, just take that and run with it, all right? But stay with me. So that fuck with me. And then I had neighbors on my block, literally right next door. It was all boys and one girl, and the little girl, she was like my age. The sister was my age, and she didn't really, I don't know what her deal was. One day we was cool, we was playing, and then the next day her cousins or whoever came from out of town during the summertime, and she was trying to act hard in front of them. I don't know what the case was, but they basically cornered me on my fucking on my block, trying to jump me, bruh. Mind you, I'm with all of my friends, and we trying to go to the corner store to get ice cream, all right, and sodas, little 50-cent sodas, little bullshit like that, all right. This little girl wanted her cousins to fight me because every single brother in my neighbor's house had a crush on me. Mind you, I can't even tell you these niggas' names. Not my problem. You get it? And so here I am internalizing this. I get out of that situation, and basically what happened was I run home, because mind you, we're just across the street. Like, they caught me on my corner. I was with my friends, but they were not about that life. I love y'all, but y'all motherfuckers that was there with me that day, y'all know y'all was about that life. So I ran across the street back to the house to go get my big brother. And my big brother, he's some big ass bear looking motherfucker, okay? And so we walk, you know, around to their house, because they were like on the corner, and we walk around to their house. My mom is there, and basically now all of these girls have ran inside of the van, and now they hiding. And so my brother's sitting there telling me, like, you gonna fight each and every one of them one by one, because ain't nobody jumping nobody, you know what I mean, until this is squashed, until this is done. They didn't want to come out of the car. The dad comes out. He tries to defuse the situation, and it was just bad. Long story short, nothing even happened. But they didn't fuck with me no more. But nothing happened. But again, I'm internalizing that shit as well. I'm coming home from the light rail from school, and I'm having people mistake me for other people at other high schools because I live in that district. I've always lived in a different district than from where I went to school. Even back from when I was staying in Richmond, California. I stayed in Richmond, Cali, and always would have to hustle with my mom to Oakland every single day. You know how early you have to wake up when your parent has to go to work, bro? We go to school at like 8 o'clock. My mom used to have to be at work at 5 o'clock. So that means that, no, she had to be at work at 6 o'clock. So that means that we had to leave at 5 o'clock. Alright, or sometimes earlier. So my ass is waking up at 4. So for everybody that sees me posting shit on my stories, dumbass early in the morning, or working out or doing something crazy early in the morning while y'all still sleep, that is why. I have always been an early ass fucking riser. Okay? Always. But even being out there, different problems with just different situations, and mind you, these same girls, these same people that I'm having problems with are also going through they woe is me phase too, of wearing their mask and trying to prove a point, trying to stick to something that they feel is now their identity marker, and basically peer pressure, feeling like they gotta live up to the part. You know, so now all of that, this is constantly going on. Mind you, I'm internalizing this because I ain't talking to this to nobody. Like, yeah, you talk to your friends about it, but y'all still thick in the sauce with each other on the same situations. And a lot of the stuff that I'm experiencing, they're honestly not really experiencing that way. You know, we may have certain things that are in common of what we're naturally going through, but a lot of the shit that I was going through, my peers, my best friends that I had, were not going through the same shit. So I'm not going to talk to my mom about it because she's going to give me a very mom answer. So now I'm left to my own devices to figure out how the fuck I'm going to handle this, for one, for my safety, and for two, so I could still enjoy some kind of something throughout the day, my everyday to day. So I'm just not wallowing. So how I internalized it and how I packaged all of the shit that I was going through together ended up making me be, I was still a cool ass person, but I could be really fucking nasty. And a lot of it was because, okay, you already think I'm like this, so what the fuck is the problem if I'm acting like it? You know? Can you see how ugly that is? Like, instead of just embracing who I was and being the bubbly me all the time, whether or not it made someone else feel uncomfortable or not, if you thought I was a bitch, I was gonna be that fucking bitch. Trust and believe. Because now you throwing stuff on me that and that you don't even know me like that. So now we got problems. Now I'm a victim. So now I'm walking around with victim ass mentality. And we all know, or some of us don't know, about law of attraction. When you constantly think shit, you become it. Straight facts. If you constantly sit here and be a victim and constantly sit here and feel like you can't do shit, trust and believe, you gonna be just that. You gonna be ain't shit ass motherfucker. But seriously. And so here I am now, still going through my life with some baggage that I'm carrying that is taking on a whole identity of itself. And of course, carrying on that type of energy with you, you attract those type of people to you. So you think I had any kind of fucking peace? No, because if it wasn't coming to me based off of someone else's own shit that they were projecting onto me, you know, just like I'm projecting my shit out to the world, feeling like a fucking victim, feeling targeted, feeling like motherfuckers think this, feeling like motherfuckers gonna say this, you know, I'm projecting all that shit because of what I've internalized as my, how would you say, my browser history of my emotional experiences is all of that shit. So now I ain't cleared my history out, alright? I ain't cleared my history out. And so I just got years and years and years of shit in my browser tab, just taking all my energy. And so it to the point where that literally all that my shit on Google, all that stuff, I'm using like a Google internet reference, so for people that don't understand emotions can understand what I'm saying. So basically, all of that Google shit that I've saved in my browser now is circulating the type of of information that I'm going to be receiving on a daily, because now they think that I like this. Basically, that's the same way that my emotions was doing. I was internalizing so many negative emotions that were projected onto me based off of however someone else was feeling about themselves, and then looked at me and I made them feel just by a sheer look, mind you. I'm internalizing all of those personal experiences that I had and constantly creating emotional content for me to receive. And so now here I am wondering why I'm going through all of the shit I'm going through all the time, but realizing that I've internalized all of it. I've accepted that as my reality. I've accepted all of that shit. I've basically caused a lot of my emotional turmoil. You get what I mean? Because of my constant awareness and constant reliving of things and feeling like, oh, and if someone else is having a bad day and they say some shit that's out of pocket, instead of me just looking at it for, they said some shit out of pocket, they don't really mean that, they don't really know you like that to even say that, how could they ever, and just being like, oh, okay, and moving on. I took that shit in, and I took that shit to the heart. So now that leads you to accept love differently too. You don't want to accept things that, you know, could possibly feel good, because at the same time you're so used to one type of thing that if it's something else, it's fishy. You get what I mean? If it looks too good to be true because you've accepted this type of treatment as your reality, the good shit, the shit that really truly resonates with you, that you've probably been praying for, looks fishy. And then you miss your opportunity yet again, and then lo and behold, here come God, and he gonna show your ass this shit again, because let me run it back one more time for you. Let me throw this person at you, or this situation at you, or let me put you in this circumstance to see if you gonna reapply the shit that you learned and do it right this time, because you can't get from here to there without completing this task right here. You know what I mean? And it's just a trip how your world can slowly but surely start to go down for the worse by being in that me victim mentality. I even was in so many abusive relationships of all different types at such a young age too. You know, and me end up getting into relationships at a young age, no doubt had to be with my mom's own shit that she was going through, and wanting to have a little more loose structure household. Like, we had certain things, certain structures, but as long as those things were handled, you pretty much, you know what I'm saying, you had to be home by a certain time, but, you know, go ahead, go about your day, go ride your bike, go ride the light rail, go meet up with your friends, whatever, you know. And she trusted that I wasn't gonna get into no shit that I couldn't get myself out of, which now as a parent, oh hell no, you know what I mean. But you live and you learn, you get it, you know what I mean. So it's a circle of life, circle of life. So yes, boy craze, you know, it's booty tag at recess. It's, oh, this boy got a crush on you. Oh, she like you back. From elementary all the way up to middle school now, where, you know what I'm saying, we're more independent now. We're getting ourselves to and from school. And now you can actually hold fucking hands. Okay? And remember, I'm also hanging out with friends after school and still having experiences outside of school with other adults even. You know? And so I'm constantly hearing other adults talk about how my body is, and ooh, she fast, and ooh, she this, and ooh, she that, long before I was ever doing anything. So I've also internalized that too at an early age, not even really aware that that was a trauma for me, not even aware that my own body was a trigger, was an emotional trigger. Anytime someone mentioned my body, it would trigger me in a way that would make me I was never flighty, so I would go straight into fight mode, because I'm not gonna run from this situation on whatever comment you said, whether it was an older woman that would say it, or an older man, or my peers, whoever would make comments about my body. and how they felt about me at a very young age, I would, internalize that shit and be like, okay. Like, so now when it comes time to where juices and shit is circulating in your hormonal system, basically, once again, you already think it, so mind your fucking business was my attitude, because now it's like, why the fuck do you care? You feel me? You just literally treated me and you made me feel the same type of way that so and so, another trigger or another trauma, that person made me feel. So therefore, it's a fuck you. Excuse me. And now every time that I see you, I'm going to associate your face with that feeling. Excuse me. I'm going to associate, that emotional trauma, me trauma, with your fucking face. And I'm going to continue to feed it, because I won't let go of some shit that you said, instead of just saying, hey, don't talk about me that way, or whatever. But I wasn't taught this. I'm just having experiences of trying to figure out things on my own. So now here we are with boys, and it's, after a certain age, it's like, hello, now it's peer pressure from boys. And now it's, do this and that. And then, of course, feeling like, okay, well, maybe because I am kind of interested in it. Hey, maybe. And then backing out of a situation and having it be forcefully taken from you. You get what I mean? So now I've internalized boys, not even men, because he wasn't a man, boys, as this way, as being forceful. The only way that if they're attracted to you, and if they are, they like you, and they do this and they do that, it's okay, because that's how they show that they like you. So now I've recognized this type of treatment, this type of emotion, as love, because they're saying that they love me. And now, because I have a history of not reaching out to, adults or anything like that, because of what you said to me in the past for help, I'm going to now try and solve my own problems and adapt to whatever pain that was just inflicted onto me or created by my own actions, however you want to see it, and try to go from here. So now every single boyfriend I literally had from junior high to through high school was abusive, bro. Straight facts. Oh my mama. Like, I don't give a fuck. At me. Was abusive in some type of way. Was abusive in some type of way. Toxic in some type of way. Because they aren't being treated however they need to be treated, and loved for however they need to be loved for, and they're not being held accountable for their own actions, whether it was physical abuse that I went through or emotional abuse that I went through. It was all kinds of different bullshit, even isolation. And all of this still while going to school. All of this still while other little girls don't like me because I got something that they, don't have. Or maybe I've mugged them unknowingly. Whatever the case may be, but they got problems with me too. And then now little boys see me as a little prize to want to be won. And so they constantly do disrespectful shit. But because we're not taught to talk about shit like that openly, and to just kind of be cool and, hey, what I'm saying, it is what it is kind of mentality, and that talking about your mental health shit is not cool, then you adapt to that shit, and it's sickening. It real life is sickening. And that's just the whole cycle of it. That's just the beginning. I haven't even graduated fucking high school yet, and so much other shit has piled on subconsciously from whether it was micro expressions people give you. Micro expressions are just those little jerk of facial expressions or mannerisms that people do, that's kind of like tells as to their body language, whether or not they're lying, or whether or not there's something hidden underneath what they're saying, or you can really tell a lot about a person about their micro expressions, especially if you ask them questions and just kind of observe them. And people have tells. So watching people's micro expressions, even when they're conversating with me, because now I've trained myself to really be observant, because I know now that you can look friendly, you can say friendly things, but deep down you're gonna do something spiteful one day at when I least expect it, is now what I have basically told myself, and that is law. That is now my belief. That is my me belief. And so now I'm walking around with this type of thing on, I really can't trust nobody like that. And so I'm constantly creating friction and constantly blocking everything that I ever want, because I don't feel that I'm good enough for it. How? When this motherfucker treated me like this bitch said this motherfucker tried me. You know what I'm saying? I was so sad the other day because of that shit that they said, that I didn't get out of bed for 3 days. Kind of bullshit. Or I didn't even want to do this and that because I was too tired, because they just kept me on this like that me. And then it turns over into work. And then it turns over into your other personal relationships that are fine. You start to look at them like that because maybe they're having a bad day, or they're having a bad month even, and they're not talking about their problems openly because they don't maybe know that they can with you, because you have to be transparent with each other, right? They don't really know that they can with you. And so everything that you're saying to each other is a fucking trigger. No doubt, because y'all projecting y'all fucking triggers onto each other, and you each feel the animosity coming off from the other one, and you both shocked at the same time as to why the fuck are you acting like this. So you feel like, oh bitch, it's fuck you to it, like and that is how shit like that constant cycle just keeps happening. Like, and then out of everybody, I had to go through all this shit, and then now that's where that shit comes from. And that's still a me mentality too. And I went through that shit all the time. Okay? All the time. Of course, I had growth in some areas. Like I started to learn that, you know what? Hey, it really is some light skin on dark skin beef. We finally here in 2021, you know what I'm saying, loving the shit. Not completely, but we together, more than ever now. And I'm thankful for that. But that, I was finally over that. Like, hey, yo, she got problems probably because this, it is what it is. And I'm seeing it for what it is now for that situation rather than internalizing it. But I had to go through that shit for years and be mad at everybody and myself too, because like how I said in episode 1, I am my own biggest fucking critic. Even the stuff that I say to you right here and right now, I'm re-saying it to myself because I ain't never done learning. Okay? I ain't never done learning. But I had to go through it over and over again, because I wasn't getting it. I wasn't realizing that, yes, these people may have said this, may have made you feel that way, but the negative response that I was feeling, the reason why it was making me so angry on the inside, was because it wasn't how I felt. It wasn't how my soul felt. It wasn't how I felt on the inside. And that is why it caused that type of reaction and emotion from me. And it wasn't until that I started to pay attention to my own emotions and sticking to the things that I really, really, really do enjoy, and being in my own kind of peace and not worrying about what someone else thought anymore, because now, I've basically forced myself into a certain type of isolation. I've now become an abuser, a self-abuser, created by my own emotional turmoil. Ain't that crazy? Remember how I was talking about that self-inflicted trauma? That shit. Now I have become an abuser of myself. And that is when I realized, oh shit, there's something bigger. That was like when I realized, like, damn, bitch, you been acting hella bratty. Like, but it made me realize, like, that was when I started to have a way deeper and bigger connection with God and everything divine. Because I was like, oh my gosh, certain things started to replay back in my head over and over again, kind of like those flashbacks. You know, you have those little reels that just kind of play in your head, like you remember shit. And I saw myself. I didn't see me no more. I saw myself. You get what I mean? And I was just like, wow. And so I forced myself into a solitude. I really did. I've done it several times. And now it's to the point where I'll do it. I do it now without having to be pushed into it. I do it now when I know that I need it. I know that I need my quiet time. I need some time to sit down with myself and check myself. Check myself. Because I started to connect the dots on so many things that caused me to go through pain for so many years. I saw where I had so many chances to do the things that I'm doing now, but I couldn't see past my own bullshit. Miss Bullshit Radar, right? I couldn't see past my own bullshit in order to do it. Because I had piled on so much shit. And I had kept all these tabs, internet tabs, Google tabs, loaded to the point where my phone was slowing the fuck down. And to the point where I literally just whoa. And that tattoo that I got last summer, the girl, it's on my chest, it's like on my sternum. It has 3 heads, 3 girls, they're all me, but that is what that is. That is me, self, and I am. And an owl, because that's the godly vision, the godly perspective for me. That I have all 3 of those with me at all times. How I was talking about, your there's you, there's your intuition, and then there's your ego. Same thing. Same. And I really seriously started to see myself, and I started to change instantly. I didn't need to wait till the next day. Shit that I started to say that I was gonna do, I did it immediately. If somebody didn't want to do it with me, that's okay. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. Call me crazy. That's fine. Whatever. And if it didn't work out, hey, okay, this didn't work out. I know how to do, now I know not to do this or this and that, because that didn't make me feel that way, and this and that. I started to be able to look outside myself and look at everything from a different point of view. From a totally different point of view. And that's when shit started changing for me. And I can't say it did feel like it happened all at once, but I could honestly say it had been building its momentum for years, but I just wasn't aware of what I was going through, all of different isolation type of shit that I was going through, in order for it to really, make a difference at that time, until finally it just fucking did. And I want to say the first time that I really saw myself for sure was let's see, what were we in? We're in 2021, so it had to be like when I turned 25. For whatever reason, when I turned 25, some fucking light switches went the fuck off. God and my ancestors was walking around me and was turning switches on and turning shit off and opening shit and letting shit fall apart. And I was just like, why? And they was just like, cause you gonna fucking learn today. Awesome, real shit. Like, that's how I felt. I put myself in solitude. I stopped talking to hella motherfuckers instantly, because I noticed patterns with those people, and I noticed where I had fallen either victim or made them be victim of my own bullshit. I either fell victim to their bullshit and internalized shit and blocked my blessings because of now, I have to play this role because of their own emotions, because I spot they're going through some shit. So now, in a way, I'm kind of internalizing I'm taking on their burdens because I care for them kind of shit. And so now I can't really step out of this box with you because I know you can't handle it. And as a reverse effect, I'm internalizing all of this shit that isn't me, and I'm uncomfortable. So now there's a type of weight with our relationship, and that started to create toxicity for me. And then even with myself and my marriage at that time, things that were going on between my husband and I, instead of just sitting down and talking, it was like, I can't do no more talking because I feel like I've been talking and doing all of this stuff and it hasn't been working. So let me just stop. I ceased and desist all kinds of shit and said nope, and sat with myself and journaled and meditated and cried. At the time, I had a big ass bulldog. He was an English bulldog and an American Amstaff mix. So that little nigga was big. That my baby. Him named Meatball. That my baby. But he was so big, and I would sit in my little chill room. I had all, done up with lights and candles, and it was just my woosah room. And I would sit there and just take blunts to the face and just cry. And he would let me just cry on him, and I would just be like, damn. Because a part of me was dying, yo. Like, a part of me was dying and waking up at the same time, and I was in fucking shock and pure disgust at myself, at the situations that I went through, at the repeated situations that I went through, and at the shit that I was currently holding myself back from. I was just like, oh. And then I felt like an emptiness for a long, long time. Long time. And I felt like I literally had to journey back to myself. I had to journey back to myself, and it started instantly. Like, certain things I just wasn't interested in anymore. Certain conversations I just would not entertain. And that is when I started to realize that, honestly, Kyla, baby, if something disturbs your peace, block it. You understand? Block it. Whether you gotta physically block it, or you gotta physically or mentally block it, emotionally block it, and redirect that motherfucker. Real talk. Because now that I found this peace, I'm all about it. I'm all about it because it feel good here. And then I started to realize all those situations when I was younger. And my brother, he's like 8.5 years older than me. And so, our family, I come from divorced parents. So, and my dad lived in SoCal and we lived in Northern Cali. So I would see him every once in a while, but it wasn't enough for us to really have a tight bond. We didn't really start getting tight, super tight, until I turned like 15, I think. And then, we've been pretty much thick as thieves since then. But, in the beginning it wasn't so, because of course, growing underneath your mom, and everybody knows divorced parents, it's always, this person against that person, So, at the time, I'm trying to think of what the fuck I was even talking about, because I was remembering that feeling and it made me lose track. Oh yeah, okay, so blocking out shit that disturbs my peace. Like, it made me think of when I was younger and all of the stuff that I was internalizing through everything, and how I could have seriously blocked out a lot of that shit. I really could have, but I let it in. And therefore I caused a lot of the shit. And with my brother being older than me, I had a lot of time by myself. I had a lot of time by myself because my mom was always working. She was either working, like an hour or whatever away from us, or was just working pretty much all day. And my brother, he had his own shit going on, and I was old enough to come in and out of the house by myself and make my own self food. So, you know what I'm saying? People got to do what they got to do. And so I was already built and prepped for this little isolation that I was currently in. So I knew how to be alone. I just didn't know how to be alone in the right kind of way. And that was what I was waking up to. I was waking up to the fact that because I am alone currently right now does not mean that I am alone. Do you get what I mean? I started to see things outside of my own emotions, out of my own inner world. I started to see finally. So that same tree that I would walk past, for an example, every single week, I really saw that motherfucking tree. Yeah, I might have saw it for years now, walking past on the same fucking street day after day, going to and from school. But for whatever reason, I see that tree. I really see that dog. I really see that car. I really smell those flowers in that bush when I walk by. I started to finally be aware and really be present. And that's when shit that I had been praying about and that had been just like, spending all these years crying and thinking and really focusing on something and really wanting it, but then canceling it out with, but all this bad shit always happened to me and everybody always want to do this and that, so if I do this they gonna say this and that. They not, and I'm canceling it out with just as much intensity as I did to create it. I'm canceling it out emotionally immediately and not seeing any result. So I started to feel like, I wasn't worthy of it. I started to now finally see that I always was. And we all always are. And so that was when I really wanted to start making a change for good. Like, I was doing small changes, but I really was like, man, I started to feel how I felt when I was a kid again. Real pure and kind of, untainted about journaling and really just being animated in that and really being animated in my emotions and my desires. And if I want to giggle at something on a commercial that makes absolutely no fucking sense, but it fucking tickles me, I'm not afraid to bust out laughing. Even though everybody else may be looking at me like, what the fuck? Like, I didn't give a shit anymore, but I still teeter-tottered on being, me, and aware that it ain't always about me, and then I started realizing that the little things that I would write in my journal, like as a kid, like, I want to be a doctor, and I want to have 3 kids, and I want a husband and a white picket fence, and I want to travel, and I want to do this, and I want to do that. Like, I started realizing and remembering that I accomplished a lot of those goals already. You know what I'm saying? I accomplished a lot of those goals already. I'm in my bigger that I set for back then. I'm in my dream that I set intentions on back then, and I was taking it for granted. So then I started being more grateful. Like, wow, I remember when I was younger, I used to want to do this and that. Look at me now. Like, even if I would just stop and look at and say it to my husband or say it to my kids, or even just have a moment to myself, just smiling, looking crazy by myself, and but even then I started noticing that even if I was taking a moment to just stop and just be and observe and just whatever emotion I'm feeling, if I'm really happy, just smiling and not afraid to really show it, that I found that people actually show you that shit right back. Ain't that some shit? Like, of course, people had smiled at me before. I don't want y'all thinking I was just walking around being a fucking demon. That wasn't the case. But I'm saying I was finally aware of how this shit works, is what I'm saying. Okay? I was finally fucking aware. Alright? I was aware that I had control of my fucking reality. So now, what do I do with it? And that, folks, is when I switched to sativa. No, I'm just kidding. Switch to sativa and your life will just be better from there on. No, I'm just kidding. No, I just started to have a mission. My inner peace became my purpose at that time. And following that purpose, making sure that no matter what experience I went through, no matter what type of interaction I would have with anybody, they won't be able to disturb my inner peace. No, I won't let them. You may rattle me, you may trigger me, but all that did was let me know and give me a radar on what it is that I need to work on. Like, people were no longer breaking me. You know what I mean? Because me was handled, because me had self behind its back. Basically. No, it's not gonna happen. Of course, I would teeter-totter out of it because, hello, I'm human. And motherfucker, try me. Motherfucker. If you want to, I'll beat your ass. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not loving like, ooh, good fights only, yay. But no, seriously, like, that was still my mindset. Like, we could go there. Everybody could still fucking go there. You know, everyone. Just because everybody's, found peace don't mean that they can't go there at some point. But I was now finally at a place where I realized that no matter what, I was gonna be okay. I didn't need certain validations anymore. I didn't need certain people around me. I didn't need certain friends. So the moment that a friend or a family member or associate, acquaintance, a frenemy, whoever, a stranger would show me something that was negative and that I knew that I didn't cause, then it was just like, oh, okay, you could keep that. You know what I'm saying? If I really care for you, I would try to, fuss and fight with you and give you a little time here and there and then hit you back with a couple jokes or whatever to see if you kind of out of it so we can move forward. Maybe you could talk about it, whatever. I would give people peace. But if they constantly did it or tried to patronize me or anything like that, it's just like, oh, yeah, you can go ahead and have that. You can have your friendship back, 'cause I don't want that shit. No, I don't want that shit. Say I don't want your shit. You can have your friendship back. Take it on right back. But I started to be that way. And that really started helping me, guys. It really did. And I don't want to sit here and be like, oh, I perfected that shit overnight. Like, hell no. I'm still, in those things sometimes, but I don't stay there for long. Like, I might have a moment now. Like, I'll have about a good 30 minutes where I'm just like, oh my God. If I don't nurture myself, if I don't tend to myself, I will have those moments where I would just completely get overwhelmed and just feel like the world is against me, because we all do, because that is what it is. Your body's way, your soul's way of letting you know that you've gone off course. You are exhausted by carrying and taking on all this other shit that is not yours. And so you flip the fuck out. And because you've had enough. Not because it's anybody else's fault. It's because you've had enough. And you're having an adult temper tantrum. I'ma just be so solid. You really are having an adult temper tantrum. Adult temper tantrums look like bullying. And look like insecurity. And people become emotional, trying to make you their emotional garbage trucks, carrying around all their emotional shit, being bag ladies and shit. You know what I'm saying? That's all of that. And finally being aware of that, I wasn't gonna go there no more. Really wasn't. So now I'm out of that phase, thankfully. Hallelujah. Took forever. I'm out of that phase and been out of that phase for completely, for a cool little minute. And I started being more into myself. And that was when I started realizing that people that were near and dear to me, that I had always worn certain masks and did certain things and they expected things from me because that was the rapport of our relationship and I played my part, maybe willingly still because of whatever, but when I stopped agreeing to those types of things and started standing in my power, people around me started falling off. Ooh, baby. Let me say it again. People around me started falling off. Straight the fuck off. Motherfuckers that I was thick as thieves with. Straight the fuck off. And I was being called all kinds of shit. Being lied on. Being this, being that. All because I wasn't basically meeting their expectations anymore. I wasn't meeting the emotional expectation that they had placed on me anymore because I was more about myself right now. Because yeah, you got your problems. I know you expect this and that, but I need to tend to this because I've learned that is a trigger for me. I don't like that. That's a boundary. I'm putting a stop to here. Please don't do that. Please don't say that to me. Please don't act that way. And after we've come to some type of an agreement, especially, and you be like, oh, okay, we have a heart to heart, and you don't do that shit, you don't respect my boundary, oh, I was gone. Oh, I'm fucking gone, baby. Gone like the wind, fabulous, you know what I'm saying? Float, floating. Get gone. Get down. Dun, can't touch this. I'm gone. Can't touch this. Say yeah. Hey. Sorry, had to have a little jam session. But yes, like I was called all kinds of shit. Selfish, a bitch, a this, too much, not enough, inconsiderate. I don't know how to unconditionally love someone. Like, oh my gosh. And so it really started to show me too. A lot of the times people will not people, God will put people in your life to show you yourself. Oh yeah. To show you yourself. And because now I was so far removed from that personal identity marker that I didn't want to be associated with anymore. I didn't want to be associated with that me party. Okay? I was all about peace and on to the next and expanding and learning and trying new things. And okay, that's fine. Well, hey, they don't want to come. That's cool. We can still go. Like, I had still always very much been that way at my core, but I was just showing it outwardly. That made people uncomfortable. I promise you that made people uncomfortable. It still makes people uncomfortable to this day. But now because I'm so secure in myself, that now I'm able to spot that in people. And if I really fuck with you, I'll make a joke about it. Like, hey, no pressure, or whatever the situation might be, to kind of let you know, like, I see you, looking at me like that or feeling some type of way. Don't worry about it. It's okay. And that kind of softens the blow. But had I seen that before when I was in that me, it would have been like, this bitch fake as fuck. But really, she's probably just shocked as fuck that somebody has said some shit like this to her right now. She's probably shocked as fuck that somebody is in the same mentality that she's in. Or she's probably just shocked as fuck that somebody says some shit that she just had a thought about yesterday. Or maybe she'd always been more interested in, and here you are in the flesh. And the fact that you noticed that I was looking at you some type of way and you didn't flash on me and you kind of diffuse it like that. Like, bitch, I like you. You know what I'm saying? And then from then on, I just constantly always had those types of experiences. Of course, people still think I got RBF. Of course, people still think that I got an attitude problem. Of course, people still think that I'm a bitch. Of course, people still think that I'm selfish. But the thing that changed is me. Me is in check by self. And self is getting help from I am. You understand me? You feel me? Now I fully feel like I don't live in that me mentality no more. Like I said, I can go there when I have bad days, but those are like slim. Slim. Seriously. Like, I may get irritated, but a bad day, come on. Like, nah. Slim. And I may have a bad moment in a day, but a whole badass day, nah. Then I know that I'm the one that kept that shit going. You know what I'm saying? I know now that if I had a bad day, I'm the one that kept that shit going. But I stay out of that. And I've been operating in self solely for a long time now. And that started a trigger for a lot of shit. A lot of self development type of shit. And now, you know, next episode, I guess I'll tell you about self. You know what I'm saying? And how I went through the different things inside of self, and then end up in this kind of halfway between self and I am phase that I am right now. I am being, meaning, you know, that you are completely aware of all of the different things inside of you, all of the different needs, wants, and desires, but not that you are in control, but you are aware of all of it. And you're using all of it for the better good of your whole reality. How can I make that not be as wordy? Because I'm high, and that didn't really come out that good. So let me think. Let me run this back. Okay. I am is basically just an owl view, an owl's perspective of self and me. It's a bigger picture. It's operating from a place of love and free-flowingness, and still completely having all of the emotions and being aware that you're having all of the emotions, but you're no longer reacting to shit, you're responding. You know what I mean? Now you're doing your best to respond. I'm not completely there. I want to be so unfuckwithable, guys. Listen, that is my goal in life. I'm being so honest with y'all. I want to be unfuckwithable. Unfuckwithable, unforgettable. Hey, unfuckwithable, unforgettable. I seriously do. You know, I already got the unforgettable part down. Oh! But I want to be unfuckwithable. And I'm damn near there. You know what I mean? Besides a little trigger, a little schmugger here and there, I'm pretty much there. Yeah. You know? So we'll talk about that next episode, because I feel like this episode has already been long enough. And shit, you know, let me gather my thoughts and take a breather. And mind you, I'm still out here in the car. It's for a whole hour. Like, it's been raining this entire time, and the windows is hella foggy now because of my, you know, breathing in here and shit, smoking some tweed from my pen. You know what I mean? I got my gallon of water here, so I gotta pee. You know, it's just unorthodox as fuck, guys, like I said. But it's okay, because it helps me stay creative with it and be open and honest. I want to be structured, but I don't want to be so structured to the point where I lose my free will. You understand? So, next episode, I will talk about self. I will write a note to remind myself. But until then, y'all, be blessed. Yes, Lord.